the attention of students. To capture students' attention, it's essential to create an engaging environment. Start with a strong hook such as an interesting question, a surprising fact, or a relevant story. Use dynamic visuals, interactive activities, or real-world connections to make the content relatable and exciting. Vary your teaching methods and keep the pace engaging to maintain focus throughout the lesson. For example, you may ask students that related to what you are going to lesson. So another example of gaining attention of students, changing the pace or format. For example, switch between lecture, group work, and hands-on tasks to maintain energy. For instance, after a short lecture, give students time to work on a project or solve a problem in pairs. So the benefit of this, varied activities cater to different learning styles and prevent monotony, keeping students alert and engaged throughout the class. And second, relating content to real-life applications. For example, for a math lesson, show how math is used in everyday life, like calculating discounts while shopping or analyzing sport statistics. So the benefit of this is connecting content to real-world situations makes learning more relevant and motivates students by showing the practical value of what they are learning. Then third is using multimedia. For example, is videos, music, or visual aids. Show a short, engaging video that illustrates a key concept before diving into the lesson material. So the benefit of this, multimedia elements can capture attention quickly and cater to visual or auditory learners. It can also simplify complex ideas and make learning more dynamic. For the fourth is praise and positive reinforcement. For example, acknowledge and praise students' input or participation early on in the lesson. For instance, great point, Sarah. I love how you connected this idea to what we learned last week. For the benefit of this, positive reinforcement encourage continued engagement and helps create a supportive learning environment. It also boosts students' confidence and morale. Then fifth is using a mystery box or challenge. For example, present a challenge or mystery related to the topic and promise to reveal the solution later in the lesson. By the end of today's class, we will figure out why this phenomenon happens. For the benefit of this creates anticipation and curiosity, making students eager to stay engaged to uncover the answer or solution. For the overall benefit of these examples is improved focus. Students are more likely to remain attentive and retain information. Then, increase motivation. Engaging strategies make learning more interesting, motivating students to participate actively. So, better retention. Attention-grabbing techniques can help students remember key concepts more effectively. Enhance learning environment. An engaging classroom fosters a positive, dynamic atmosphere where students are excited to learn. Next is informing the learner of the objectives. Clearly outlining the learning objectives at the beginning of the lesson helps students understand what they are expected to learn. This sets expectations and gives students a sense of direction. Highlight key takeaways and connect them to real-world applications so students can see the relevance and importance of the lesson. Additionally, you can state the lesson objectives explicitly using simple language. For example, today we'll learn how to calculate the area of a triangle. So, for the additional example of informing the student of the objectives. First is clear and direct communication of objectives. For example, at the beginning of a lesson, say, today we're going to learn how to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. By the end of the class, you should be able to apply this formula to solve real-world problems. So the benefit of this example, this approach gives students a clear sense of purpose and direction. They understand what they are expected to learn and can focus their attention on the most important aspect of the lesson. Second is using visuals or a checklist of objectives. For example, display a slide with the key learning objectives listed or provide a handout with the objectives for the day, such as understand the properties of parallel lines, apply the properties to solve geometric problems. So the benefit of this example, having a visuals reminder of the objectives reinforce the learning goals and makes them more tangible. It allows students to track their progress throughout the lesson and ensures they stay aligned with the lesson's focus. So for the overall benefits of these examples, first is focus and clarity. Students know what to expect and can concentrate on the key learning goals. Second is increase motivation. Understand the purpose behind the lesson encourages active participation and a goal-oriented mindset. Third is better retention. When students are aware of what they are supposed to learn, they can more effectively focus on key information and retain it. Fourth is improve self-assessment. Knowing the objectives helps students assess their own understanding during and after the lesson, which promotes reflection and self-directed learning. Fifth is sense of achievement. When students can see the learning goals at the start and can check off their progress toward achieving them, it enhances their sense of accomplishment and confidence.
Simulating recall of prior learning aims to recall learning that has been learned both in and outside of the classroom. Its purpose is to help students understand new information by relating it to something that they are familiar. The strategy you need to do is to ask questions about foundational concepts. Also, ask your students to share any related experiences that they have had with course topics. And lastly, share a relatable story that will help students connect what they might already know to what they will learn during class. By doing those strategy, you encourage the new learning to stored in long-term memory rather than being forgotten quickly. So, for example, in math class, the teacher will say, before we move on to solving equations, can anyone remember how to solve this formula? So, the teacher asks students to recall prior lessons to help them connect this knowledge to the new topic of solving equations. Simulating recall of prior knowledge helps students connect new material to what they have already learned. This strategy improves understanding, retention, and the ability to apply knowledge in new contexts.
Okay, next is present the content. This event involves presenting the institutional content in a logical and organized manner. It may include lectures, multimedia presentations, demonstrations, or reading. The content should be structured to facilitate understanding the promote the acquisition of knowledge and skills. For example, group project encourage collaborative learning and problem solving, like engagement activities. Hands-on experiment. Conduct a simple experiment to demonstrate photosynthesis, such as placing a plant in a sealed container with water and observing bubble formations. And divide students into groups to discuss real-world application of photosynthesis, such as biofuels and climate change. By following these steps and using engagement strategies, the teachers effectively present the stimulus material on photosynthesis, making the concept clear and interesting to the students. And the fifth event is provide learning guidance. Provide learning guidance. During this event, the instructor provides guidance and support to help learners and comprehend and make sense of the presented information. This can be done through explanations, examples, and demonstrations. Guidance aids in the process of encoding information into the learner's long-term memory. For example, modeling demonstrate the task or skills to provide a visual example. Modeling a visual demonstration is a powerful instructional strategy where a teacher or instructor demonstrate a task or skills to provide a visual examples. This hands-on approach helps learners to understand the process, identify key steps, and apply the learning skills independently. For example, teaching basic basketball skills like how to dribble or how to properly grip. Teach player to use their fingertips, not their palm, to control the ball.
Eliciting performance. This is the time for the facilitator to observe performance. Look for possible gaps in knowledge and confirm skill learning. A few ways to elicit performance include tests, quizzes, classroom presentation, and essays. Eliciting performance is important because it helps students practice and refine. Students can make mistakes and refine their understanding before being formally assessed. Retain information. Experiential learning methods can help students retain information and file it in their long-term memory. Providing feedback. Use observation to give the learning specific feedback. Make your feedback interactive by engaging in a dialogue with your learner. When you give feedback, it means you offer a helpful response to someone's work or idea.
Assess performance. Evaluate learners' understanding and progress through assessments or tests. This allows you to measure if the learning objectives have been met. Example, sa physical education, basketball skills, tinuruan ko yung mga students ng basic skill ng dribbling, passing, at shooting sa basketball. First is, gagawa ko ng assessment, kunwari sa skill test. Yung mga students is nag-perform ng iba't ibang dribbling drills tulad ng pag-dribble sa cones at pag-dribble habang nagbabago ng direction. Next naman is game simulation. Papasalin ko yung mga students sa isang controlled na basketball game na nakapokus sa paggamit ng tamang technique sa dribbling, passing, at shooting. At last naman is peer evaluation. Yung mga student naman is nag-a-assess ng performance ng isa't isa sa isang shooting contest at nagbibigay ng feedback tungkol sa technique. Siyempre, dahil gumawa tayo ng assessment, dapat meron din tong purpose kung para saan yung ginawa mong assessment. Yung assessment na ito is sumusukat kung yung mga students ay nakapag-develop ng physical skills na kinakailangan para ma-perform yung basic actions sa basketball at kung kaya nila itong i-apply sa gameplay.
Enhance retention and transfer. It focuses on helping the students store the information into their long-term memory through repetition and practical application in their personal lives. Ideas for enhancing retention and transfer. The strategy you need to do is to facilitate discussion regarding how the students use the information in their daily activities and how they will be able to use it. So next is create a written assignment where students write about how the information they have learned ties together with other topics they are learning in other subjects.